Hello everybody, my name is TheTfboy, and today we're gonna be doing something a little bit different. I thought I would take a look at all of the Blackrock Mountain cards, since it does come out tomorrow, and I haven't really talked about the new cards at all. I've just been kind of uploading random ranked videos, so I figured we could look through every single one that's been released. Since they're now all on Facebook, so that makes things a little bit easier for me. So we'll start in order and we'll go across. So yada yada yada. Okay. Blackwing Technician. If you're holding a dragon, game 1+1. This to me seems like a very, 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 very good, powerful card. There's really nothing to compare it to other than the Tinkertown. I think it's Tinkertown Technician. I'm not sure. The 4/4 gives you a spare part if you have a mech on the field. That that card alone is pretty powerful, but this one decides, instead of being a 4/4, I'm going to be a 3/5 and not give you a spare part, which is pretty good. For a 3-mana minion, it's probably going to trade twice if the enemy doesn't have any sort of removal for it, which is definitely quite nice. So this to me seems like a powerful card. It's nothing, revolutionary, but it's a good card it's a good early game card. Next we have Grim Patron. Whenever this minion survives damage, summon another Grim Patron. Oh, jeez. As we saw on the stream, the amount of combos you can do with this card is pretty ridiculous. Just imagine you summon Warsong Commander, then you summon Grim Patron as a turn 10 play, and then you double Whirlwind. So your 3/3 becomes a 3/2 and another 3/3, and then your Whirlwind again, and that becomes a 3/1, a 3/2, and two 3/3s, which all have charge, by the way. And then if you were to combine, say, Inner Rage and give it like +2 attack, well, alone with just the Whirlwinds, you have 12 damage that you could do suddenly from your hand. And if you combine the Inner Rages, you could do up to 16. So basically, if your opponent played Jiraxis, here's your answer. As long as they don't have any taunts. This is a very good aggro warrior card, but it's not. It's a lot of the warrior cards in this are trying to create more of an aggro warrior. I don't know if you necessarily need more aggro in the game. It's a fun card by any means. I don't know how practical it's going to be in tournaments, but we shall see. Hungry Dragon. Battlecry, summon a random 1-cost minion for your opponent. This is very, very interesting because if your opponent has, because if you're playing the Hungry Dragon, if you have a way of removing the 1-cost minion, then you've pretty much got a 5/6 for 4 on the board. Like, let's say you use your hero power, and the 1-cost minion has 1 health. It's not always the case though. There's a lot of demon. There's that one demon creature, I forget the name of it, that is like 3/2 for 1, but it does 3 damage to your hero. There's Zombie Chow, of course. There's that 0/4 minion that has taunt. So a 1-cost minion isn't necessarily gonna die to have 1 health. So that is something to keep wary of. And as some of the comments are saying, you could have this dropped from a not a piloted shredder, the piloted sky golem. Just imagine you have a sky golem, and then this comes out of it. Oh, jeez. Your opponent doesn't get the negative effect for it, so that's one good thing for it. I think this is a very interesting card, but it does bring a little bit more RNG than I would like to the game. It's certainly not consistent. There's nothing too bad. Like, I don't think there's a 1-drop that could actually kill the Hungry Dragon in any way, shape, or form. Because I'm trying to think, because Doomsayer is a 2-drop, and you get that from Pilot Shredder sometimes. I don't think there's... So, the Hungry Dragon will often trade into whatever your opponent has, but if it's like a taunt minion, then And what can you do? Next we have Dark Iron Sculler, a rogue card that does 2 damage to all undamaged enemy minions. So it's basically, I'm sorry, I'm terrible with names, but it's basically that one rogue card that does 2 damage to an undamaged enemy minion, but it's sort of an AoE effect. So this is essentially more good in against a aggro type of deck, because they'll probably have a lot of weak health minions. I don't know if 2 damage is enough. I think maybe if it was 6 mana and 4 or 5 and did 3 damage, I don't know. I just feel like a 2 damage AoE for the against the enemy is not really that relevant on turn 5. Because it won't kill a piloted shredder. I'm not exactly sure what it would kill that is common that has 2 health. I guess against a mech deck, although it won't kill Mech Warper. So, I mean, take that for what it is. I don't really play Rogue that much, so this card may be amazing to you, but it just doesn't, I don't know, it just doesn't seem like my cup of tea. Ren Blackhand. Battlecry, if you're holding a dragon, destroy a legendary minion. This is certainly an interesting card. But, you know, obviously the only problem it has is that it only has 4 health, so it dies to pretty much anything. Pilot of Shredder, Moral Strike from Warrior, Blackwing Technician, and a ping from a mage. So it's not, unfortunately, it's just not, yeah, it's kind of like the equivalent to a big game hunter in a sense, to where this can target minions that big game cannot, for 4 more mana, and you're essentially getting double the stats. So take that for what it is. You could destroy like a Malagos or Ysera with it, which is definitely quite useful. Because a lot of people play Big Game Hunter not for the body, just for the destroy effect. If the body survives, then hey, that's a bonus. But I think that's the same way with this, and just in this case, this is a little bit more expensive to deal with. So, the only problem is that against the most common legendary of them all, say Dr. Boom, you could destroy Dr. Boom, and then the bombs could kill this thing. One bomb could kill this thing if RNG is not in your favor. So just take that for what it is. I don't consider myself using this. It's not consistent in the fact that the enemy may not even have a legendary minion, and it's certainly not a good body to place on the board at turn 7. So take that for what it is. Axe Flinger. Whenever this minion takes damage, deal 2 damage to the enemy hero. A warrior card. Again, another aggro warrior card. I don't know if we need aggro warrior in the meta right now. I don't know, because warrior is the only really good control class, and I think a lot of the community kind of wants to keep it as a control class. So this isn't a bad card though against. Would this be a bad card in a control deck? I guess so, because it only deals damage to the enemy hero. I don't know. A lot of people have said this could make Bouncing Blade useful, and I could see that, but you would have to find a way to remove your opponent's board with 3 mana. I guess you could use Crush if they had like 1 powerful minion on the board, and then Axe Flinger, and then Bouncing Blade for a Pyroblast to their face. Because, you know, Bouncing Blade's going to deal 1 damage at a time and deal 2 damage to the enemy hero every time it takes damage, so it certainly is quite interesting. Maybe if you throw in a Rage and then a Rampage on it, if you actually have nothing on the board, you could potentially Axe Flinger, summon the Axe Flinger, then Enrage it to make it a 4/4, and then give it Rampage, and then do Bouncing Blade, and then you would deal 14 damage to the enemy hero. So again, another counter for Jiraxis. Kind of, you're 1 damage short, but still. And hey, it bypasses. Well, no, it wouldn't bypass taunts because Bouncing Blade would. Never mind. You guys know what I'm saying. I don't know if I'd use this personally, but hey, if there's any Aggro Warrior players out there, this is a tool for you guys. I don't know if we need you in the meta, but it's a tool nonetheless. Lava Shock, deal 2 damage, unlock your overloaded mana crystals. Now I don't play Shaman a lot. I don't have a lot of the power overload Shaman cards. So, but I can definitely see the use in this. Especially if you've overloaded yourself with that 7/8 taunt for 5 that overloads you for 3, or that Nefarian, I think. No, it's not Nefarian. It's that 7/7 that gives you 4 random Murlocs in your hand that does overload for 3. So, you know, you could potentially play the taunt minion, be overloaded for 3 next turn, and then you could play. Bear in mind that I don't think Lava Shock unlocks your overloaded mana crystals after you play it. So, for example, if you were to play that 5, actually probably the way you could get value out of this is say you play that 7/7 for 7 minion that gives you the Murlocs, then you're overloaded for 3, and then what you do is you play and then on your next turn you play that taunt minion for 5 mana, and then you're overloaded for another 3, and then you Lava Shock, and now you have 3 more mana crystals to use that turn as well as you're not overloaded for the next turn. So, take that for what it is. It's certainly not going to provide tremendous value. Like, it still requires at least 2 mana, so having at least 3 overload crystals would be beneficial. Although, if you even if you just want the 2 damage, you know, hey, it's not bad. So take that for what it is. Dragon Egg, whenever this minion takes damage, summon a 1/2 Whelp. It's not an amazing card, but this is definitely like the Nerubian Egg, is sort of anti-AoE card, in a sense, unless you're playing Mage, which they could just ping it if they Flame Strike it, the board. But essentially, you know, this will essentially prevent your opponent from doing any sort of AoE board clear, whether it's Consecration, Holy Nova, Brawl, even a Swipe. I mean, 2/1 Whelps aren't, you know, they've 2 health and 2 attack and 1 health, so they're not going to survive for that long. But it's a decent value out of 1 mana. So, I mean, take that for what it is. You could probably enrage the egg. turn 1, Dragon Egg. Turn 2, enrage. Well, you could do the same turn, but what's the point of that? Might as well just wait till your next one. I don't know. Interesting card. Nothing amazing, but I could see this being used. Now this card, Dragonkin Sorcerer. Whenever you target this minion with the spell, gain +1/+1. This has the potential to be very, very powerful in decks that tend to buff minions. So like Priest, Warrior, if they really want to use. So, you know, if you use that Priest card that gives your minion 2 health and draws a card, then suddenly this becomes a 4/8. And it becomes immune to, say, if your opponent is a Priest as well, he can't, like, Shadow Word Pain or Shadow Word Death it. And then if you use Rampage on this, or not Rampage, Enrage. So, let's say you do both. Let's say you Enrage this, and this becomes a 6/5, which is very, very powerful. And then if you were to say Rampage that, it would become a 9. No, it would become a 10/9. So, I mean, take that for what it is. It's obviously going to get BGH, but hey, if you can play this, keep this alive, and then your next turn do all these combos with it, you're going to have a good time. I could see this being used in any sort of deck that centers around buffing your minions. So, yeah, take that for what it is. Flamewalker. After you cast a spell, do 2 damage, randomly spin among enemies. This, to me, is a very, very powerful mage card, and is a must-have if you're running like a sort of heavy spell slash spare parts oriented deck, you could probably throw this in a mech deck that has a bunch of spare parts in it. Because, spare parts are spells, so whenever you do a spell, you're going to do damage split around enemy minions. So, I could definitely see it has 4 health, so it's just at a range of even the new Black Ring Technician. So it's gonna survive most things. You could even use this on the turn you play it, if you have a spell for it. So, take that for what it is. You could use this in combination with Flame Strike. So, you play this, you Flame Strike, and then maybe your two randomly split target. Maybe your 2 shots will randomly split around the targets that had like 5 health. Like a Lothab or something. So, take that for what it is. Imp Gang Boss. Whenever this minion takes damage, summon a 1/1 Imp. Again, another anti-AoE card. So, yeah, against Flame Strike, it's going to be nothing amazing. You're going to lose this and get a 1/1 Imp, but it's not bad. A lot of people are definitely very excited for it. I don't play Warlock that much, so I don't understand all of the hype with this card, but I can definitely see how this could be very useful. You could definitely power overwhelm your imps if you are clever enough to take damage. If you are clever enough to set it up that way, you could Hellfire your imps. You could Hellfire this guy, then get a 1/1 imp, and then have a 2/1 body. So, take that for what it is. And yeah, I don't understand the love for this card, but I could definitely see this being used and being very annoying to remove. Core Ranger, Battlecry. If your hand is empty, gain 3+3/+3. Even some of the most extreme Face Hunter decks don't generally empty their hand. Purely just because they're saving like an Iron Beak Owl or something, so that they can keep like hitting the face. Like, you play a Sludge Belcher, they still have a couple cards in their hand. One of them is like an Iron Beak Owl because they're saving it to essentially remove a creature on the board that will prevent them from hitting them in the face. So I don't know where this card. This is probably a very good arena card if you're top decking. It does get prone to BTH, not as much in arena, but if it does get the +3/+3 in ranked, I don't know if this is going to be a super competitive card. I don't know. I don't know. I just don't see. I just don't see the use for this card in a Face Hunter. Maybe a Control Hunter, but again, that kind of means you have to empty your hand, which isn't really a smart idea. Blackwing Corruptor. If you're holding a dragon, deal 3 damage. Now, I saw this in a video. I forget who said this, but a lot of people are saying this is the worst fire elemental. I actually think of it as a better one simply because and I forget who said this, but if you have a card that is scaled down but still has the same text or battle cry, then it's essentially better. Like, fire elemental is a 6 mana for a 6/5 that does 3 damage essentially. If you kept scaling it down to where it was say like a 2 mana for a 2 attack and a 1 creature that had the same battle cry, then yeah, that'd be amazing. You just don't see the scale from that high, but essentially this is a cheaper, better fire elemental because it does more. Because it does the same amount for less. So if you're holding a dragon, deal 3 damage. Again, the holding a dragon mechanic isn't. I don't mind it personally because it's very likely that you're going to be holding these big, heavy dragons, and a lot of people are saying all of them are just going to be Big Game Hunter. Unless you have like a return card, Big Game Hunter can only deal with 2, with Big Game Hunter can only deal with what is it? Only two creatures because you only put two of them in the deck. So it's not gonna be, it's not like Big Game Hunter's a huge threat. I never viewed him as a huge threat. He just happened to be there, and he's quite easy to remove, in my opinion. I personally don't run it a lot of big creatures in my personal decks, other than like the Clockwork Giant, which is pretty amazing when you pull it off on like turn 4. But yeah, for the most part, I don't know if I'd use this. This would be more of a mid-range type card. I don't think it works in aggro too well, and I don't think it works in control. Maybe control more so than aggro, but we'll have to see. Dragon's Breath. Deal 4 damage, cost 1 less for each minion that died this turn. The potential for it is great. You just have to set it up that way. So, you could essentially Flame Strike it if you kill 3 of the enemy minions. No, even 2 of the enemy minions, then you can use this on the same turn. So, if you've got, say, like an 8/8 creature, like a giant of some sort, and you Flame Strike it, and your opponent has 2 other minions that happen to die to the Flame Strike, then, hey, you could use this to finish off the giant. So, it definitely is quite useful. I could definitely see the uses in this card. And remember, the 4 damage can be done to the face as well, so, if you clear your opponent's board, you can then do 4 damage to their face if you really want to. So, this is definitely a very combo-oriented card. Requires a decent amount of planning. Definitely seems to be very good in a spell-heavy deck that centers around AoEs and Flame Strikes. But hey, I think this could be a good mage card. I think this could be a very good competitive card. You just need to know what you're doing. Nefarian. Battlecry, add 2 random spells from your hand from your bonus class. As you can see to the right, a lot of people are using Big Game Hunter as a reference. And yeah, this could get big gamed, but hey, that means 1 less. Unlike unlike a let's say like, what's a good example of a large creature that has like a continuous effect? Not Ysera, but like, the thing is about a lot of these 8/8 dragon creatures that a lot of people don't seem to notice is that they have a battle cry that essentially kind of trades off the mana cost to an extent. So like Nefarian, even if you lose Nefarian to Big Game Hunter, you still have the 2 spells. If you summon that dragon that does like all the 1/1 whelps on your side, even if that gets big gamed, you still have the whelps unless your opponent has like an AoE or something. Now if Big Game Hunter is on a Deathwing, now that would suck. But by no means, I think this would probably be best in a control matchup. The only problem is the spells. The only classes that you probably would not want to go against while playing this card is either a rogue or a warrior. This is because rogue has a lot of weapon-based spells, and warrior just has like shield slam. And if you're not a druid or a mage or a warrior, you're not going to get any value out of this unless you maybe squeeze something out of some spell damage, increase cards, minions. So this card has potential. I did see it used on stream. I did see that they got a Flame Strike from a mage, which was amazing, which shows the amount of potential that this card has. Even if it got Big Game Hunter, you still have that Flame Strike. So it definitely gives you access to tools that you would otherwise not use. And generally, whenever you have a similar class versus class matchup, for some reason, like, warriors cannot have a hard time dealing with brawl. Priests have a hard time dealing with their Holy Nova used against them, etc., etc. So this is definitely a very interesting card. Like I said, Even if it does get big game, it's one less target for a big game, and it's very likely that the spell that you got can deal some form of damage to Big Game Hunter. Remember, you're not going to get anything like spare parts and such, and this is from your opponent's class, not from their deck, just their class in general, so take that for what it is. I think that I could personally maybe find a place for this card, but we shall see. Trying to, I don't even know how to pronounce that. Crusher. Battlecry, if your opponent has less than 50,000, gains +3/+3. Definitely a very good aggro card, but unfortunately, this does put it in the range of Big Game Hunter. So take that. I mean, take that for what it is. You know, it's not. It's a good finisher type card. It definitely is a very good value for 6 mana. You could possibly combo this with Alexstrasza if your opponent doesn't heal himself. So against a priest, this would probably not be a good card to use on. But hey, you know, take that for what it is. I think this would probably be good more in a mid-range deck, just to kind of get a big threat on the board on turn 6. So, you know, take that for what it is. Volcanic Drake costs 1 less for each minion that died this turn. Again, like I said with Dragon's Rat. Like I said with Dragon's Breath, this has the potential to be a very good card. You could even summon 2 of them if you are smart enough. So, you know, let's say you Flame Strike the board, you kill like 7 minions. This card costs nothing, so you can play 2 of them. So, you know, definitely very good in a sort of anti-AoE type card. This definitely would work in Warrior in a sense, to where if there are like 7 minions on the board and you brawl, then you are guaranteed to play this for no mana, because 6 minions will die. It may not be your... It doesn't matter whether it's your opponent or not. It's just, they'll die, so you'll play this for nothing. I don't know if Doomsday would work purely because that affects the start of your turn. So, you know, take that for what it is. A lot of people are comparing this to Unleash the Hound, so, you know, hey, take that for what it is. I see the potential in this card. It doesn't have a great body, so it's not that difficult to remove. But it definitely is a surprise if you suddenly play a 6/4 on like turn 3. Or something. Or maybe you play 2 of these after you Flame Strike. So, we shall see. Chromagus. Now, this is a very, very interesting card. A lot of people are comparing it to Kel'Thuzad just because of the stats and the mana cost. And I don't know if that's a fair trade. So, I'm not going to compare it to Kel'Thuzad. I feel as though this would work more of an aggro / mid-range deck rather than a control, simply because I personally would feel like I would accidentally mill myself if I was playing a warrior class. But also, this is a very bad card against... I don't think this card would be that useful against Druid because, you know, let's say you have 8 cards in your hand, you have Chromagus on the field, and your opponent for some reason decides to do Naturalize and kill one of your minions. So you would draw 1 card, and then that would duplicate, but then the second card that you would draw from Naturalize would be discarded. So you could draw, if you're playing Warrior, you could draw like your Shield Slam twice, and then you could lose to Ragnarosis. So, yeah, I don't think this works in a control deck. I think that it might if you're a really heavy control deck and you have like a bunch of cheap stuff. But, you know, otherwise I just get the feeling I'm going to mill myself. So, take that for what it is. I may try it in a control deck. I probably will regret it. But, you know, hey, it's a cool minion, it's a cool effect. It's not consistent, but it could be fun. Demon Wrath, deal 2 damage to all non-demon minions. Definitely a very good a very good card for, say, Demon Lock. I know a lot of Demon Lock decks don't run 100% demons. But this isn't a bad card to have to say, like, to trigger your Nerubian Egg. So, you have a bunch of demons, you have a couple of demons on the board, you have Nerubian Egg, your opponent has a couple of weak creatures, you use Demon Wrath, your demons are fine, and your Nerubian Egg gets popped. So, take that for what it is. I think that this is a very useful card for demons, and, like I said, I don't play Warlock that much, so I don't understand it that much, but hey, I think it works. Dragon Consort. Battlecry, the next dragon you play costs 2 less. This is a paladin card, by the way. Just wow. So, I kind of wish this was a neutral card in the fact that, you could get more dragon synergy. Like a Mech Warper is a neutral card for mechs. But I don't necessarily know if this works in... I think Paladin could probably make the best use out of dragons. It's considering that, Paladins aren't exactly known for their removal, nor are they known for their big creatures, so this kind of helps them out a bit. It's a solid body in Arena, so even if you have one dragon in your deck, like Ysera or something, you play this card, and then you could if you eventually get to your Ysera, you could play that for 2 less, so take that for what it is. It's a solid body in Arena, like I was saying, so 5/5 for 5 is nothing amazing, but it's enough to hold its own. So again, take that for what it is. Intruder of the Flame, choose one, transform into a 5/2 or a 2/5 minion. 5/2 for 3 and 2/5 for 3 are definitely good value. A lot of people are comparing the 5/2 to Magma Ranger. And a lot of people are also comparing the 2/5 to a that Blackwing Technician. So, I don't think this is an amazing card, but it's not a bad one, I know Druids haven't been getting a lot of super useful tools, but this card isn't amazing, and what's interesting is that the minions it transforms into are beasts, so you could maybe try to get a Druid of the Fang out and kind of synergize with that. So, take that for what it is. A 2/5 at 3 mana is generally going to trade with a couple things, and a 5/2 is generally going to get rid of a huge threat. The 5/2 won't kill Hungry Dragon, but if you combine the 5/2 with your hero power, you will kill the Hungry Dragon, so take that for what it is. Emperor Tharsin. Now, this is a card that I am really, really, really excited about, and I'm actually trying to save as much gold as possible in order to get it, because I don't know if I'm going to have... I don't think I'm going to have 700 gold by tomorrow, but this is a very, very good card in control. At the end of your turn, reduce the cost of cards in your hand by 1. Oh my god, this card looks amazing! 5/5 for 6 is not amazing, but you could essentially get that value back in that amount of cards in your hand. You could play combos with it in, like, Rogue or with a control deck much, much sooner. This won't, like, get into, like, negatives and such for obvious reasons, but this is just... I love this card, and it's going to be in the first swing. And, oh my god, I really want to get this card as soon as possible to use it, because I know that when it's used against me, I need to remove this card immediately, because this card is affected by the end of the turn, so you're guaranteed to have the reduction, which is quite interesting. I get the feeling this card may be a bit too overpowered, and it might get nerfed to where it says at the start of your turn, which would definitely make this card see a lot less play, which is unfortunate. But this isn't really going to work in like Face Hunter and such, simply because by turn 6 the game's pretty much already decided whether you're going to win or lose. So take that for what it is. I definitely could see the potential of this card. I will personally use this card. I will try to get 700 gold. I will try to get this card. I really, really like the idea of this, and I hope that it doesn't get changed, because this is a very, very useful control card, and definitely a good card for warrior, in my opinion. Considering that the warrior cards we all get are either aggro or crap. Fireguard Destroyer. Battlecry, gain 1/4 +4 attack, overload 1. A very powerful card. It's essentially at least a 4/4 for 6 with overload 1, or a 4/7 for 6 with overload 1. Now, obviously, if it becomes 7, it is excuse me, it becomes a problem with BGH, but that's only a 24% chance of happening, even if it's, and if it's a 4/4 for 6, it's priest immune, so take that for what it is. Very powerful card, very solid body. 6 health is definitely going to be very hard to remove unless you're a mage with a fireball. But I do like this card. I do think this is a very good and powerful shaman card. Gang up, shuffle a minion, choose a minion, shuffle 3 copies of it into your deck. I don't understand why this is a rogue card per se, considering that there aren't too many control rogues out there. I feel as though this would work in a control deck simply because you're paying 2 mana for nothing immediate. So, I mean, just take that. Take it for what it is. You're gonna basically. It might be good in a mill rogue, but I don't know if rogue was the best choice for this card. It could have some uses. You could use this to use on a Ragnaros, and then as the game progresses, if you're more of a control rogue, which again I don't see that many of them, you could eventually get a couple more Ragnaroses on the field. Or if you're playing as a warrior and they summon Iron Juggernaut, yeah, that's gonna be fun to mess with. So, I mean, they probably have armor, so they'll probably survive all 3 mines, but that's not the point. Besides the point. I mean, you could probably use this if you're playing a mill rogue on like dancing swords and such, in order to possibly mill your opponent. So, again, take that for what it is. 2 mana for nothing immediate, but good in a control orientation. I just don't see why this is a rogue card. I don't. I don't even know how to pronounce it. Death Rattle, replace your hero with Ragnarok's Firelord. Now, I mentioned this on Hearthstone forums in the warrior class, how the problem with this is that it's 9 mana for 9/7, which isn't great. But the problem is, Ragnarok's Firelord only has 8 health. And yeah, his hero powers die insect to 8 damage to a random enemy, but you only have 8 health. So, and your opponent can essentially trigger this, so they could big game this and then use whatever the hell on the board they have to finish you off. So, this to me, I think would only work in a warrior deck. Purely just because you could stack armor before you actually... you could stack a bunch of armor on yourself before you actually, oop, jeez. Sorry, I knocked something on my desk. Before you actually get yourself ready to be transformed into Ragnaros. So, that's the only use I could see of it. And also, I think you can Alexstrasza yourself to get yourself to 15 health. There were reports that in some of the next Ramus bosses, you could, use Alexstrasza on a boss that had less than 15 health to get them to 15 health for some reason, but it is possible. So, it might be the same case here. A lot of people said that healing was a bit awkward. So, I don't know if you, take 8 damage, you'll be able to anti-heal bot yourself back to 15. So, I don't know. I can only see this being used in a warrior deck, just because warrior is the only class that could survive this whenever it's been used. So, I mean, take that for what it is, hey, it's... Oh, will you stay... I'm knocking stuff on my desk now. So take that for what it is. But yeah, I mean, this is another tool that I think Warrior could take advantage of. And just suddenly... It's not a very good aggro card, unfortunately. So if you're up against like an aggro deck, you know, the 8 damage isn't really going to matter that much. Because, you know, if your opponent has like 5 2 health minions on the board, that hero power is not going to help much. So take that for what it is. Quick shot. Oh, jeez. Another hunter card. I could see Face Hunter trying to utilize this, but again, like I said, Face Hunter generally at least has like 1 or 2 cards in their hand that are generally silences to just helping them keep going for the face. They might replace this with their fudge. What's that 3/1 for a 3 mana charge minion? The Wolf Rider? Yeah, the Wolf Rider. Just because this can bypass taunts, obviously, but you know it's gonna become a case where if your hand is empty, you know you could and you have like a beast on the board and you're playing a hunter, you could probably do like quick shot into say kill command, and then use your hero power to deal like what's the math on that? 13 damage to the face. So again, another counter for Jiraxis. It's like a dark bomb essentially, but better if your hand is empty. So I mean, take that for what it is. I don't know. Resurrect, summon a friendly minion that died during this game. A very powerful priest card. Definitely to be used in control priest. This will resurrect anything that died this game. So if you're playing like very heavy minions, or even some weak ones like Northshire Cleric, this will have a chance to resurrect them. If you play like Hungry Dragon, this could resurrect it without having the battle cry effect on your opponent. So yay. The only problem is if your opponent polymorph or hexes one of your minions, and they kill the sheep or the frog, Resurrect will have a chance to bring that back. So you gotta be wary of that. So again, this could be very useful, but you could essentially control when this is being played. So you know you have a Northshire Cleric, it dies first turn, it dies from turn 1. You could play Resurrect to bring it back, essentially, if you really want to. So you can control it in that sense. But I mean, hey, it's not a bad card. You just got to be very wary of what you put in your deck if you're going to center a deck around this. Oh, jeez. This is essentially a 2-mana Whirlwind. I don't see a need for a warrior to be doing 3 damage AoE. I mean, yeah, I used to do that myself in sort of aggro decks with the explosive sheep, but I don't know if this is. I mean, yeah, this could be another card to use on the Axe Flinger or that Grim Patron. So another initiator for it, but we don't need another Whirlwind card that does 3 I don't know. I guess this is a good answer for Muster for Battle. Whenever a Paladin does Muster for Battle, and then turns, I don't know, I forget the names, but you know how when they get the 4/3/3 minions, this could be a good counter for it, but I don't know. Now this is a very interesting Paladin card. Can be used, like I said, can be used for a Muster for Battle. So, you know, or you could Equality Consecration, and then if your opponent doesn't have any minions with Divine Shield and has like 5 on the board, you get to draw 2 free cards. So yay! Really nothing too. I mean, this card is pretty self-explanatory. I can see the potential in this. Paladins generally don't have a lot of card draw. So, you know, take that for what it is. You could combine this with Chromagus if you really wanted to. Just Chromagus turn 8, and then, I don't know, turn 9, Equality Consecration this. And then you would get like 4 copies of the card. Or 2 copies of the 2 cards you drew. So take that for what it is. Now, Twilight Whelp. this card isn't amazing, but it's essentially like a zombie chow without the drawback. So it's a very good starting card. It's nothing amazing, but this being a priest card, I think that it could work. Like I said, it's nothing amazing, but take that for what it is. I don't know if sometimes priests prefer to run zombie gel because if they run that 3/5 for 4 minion that deals that healing, or the one that turns healing into damage and runs zombie chow, then you could take advantage of that. But I mean, this isn't a bad card. I wish this was a neutral card personally, but it could work. Volcanic lumber. Jeez. I'm sorry, but this is just crap. I don't see me running this over Ironbark purely just because of the damage, and it's still good big game hunters. Druid generally doesn't have the best tools to take advantage of each minion that died this turn, unless they do like fudge. What is it? Set. What's that other? What's the name of that card? Damn it. Force of Nature. If you use Force of Nature and maybe Savage Roar to essentially trade minions with it, trade minions rather than actually, deal damage to the face, then yeah, you could maybe play this on the same turn as that. But I don't think this is a good card. I don't. I really don't. And that's all of them. So that's pretty much Blackrock Mountain in a nutshell. Like I said, I think that this expansion is going to be very, very interesting. It's certainly going to change. I don't think it's going to change the meta too much, but it would definitely encourage a lot more control-oriented decks. A lot of the aggro decks will just add replace some of the tools, like they'll probably add Quick Shot. They'll probably add where was that probably add a mage will probably add Flamewalker. So again, I'm really looking forward to testing this out. I get the feeling this is going to be overpowered, but I'm really looking forward to this. This is the card in particular that I'm really excited for, and I'm really glad that it's in the first wing. So you only have to pay 700 gold for it out of the whole expansion. So, oh, I bumped the mic. So yay! Anyways, that's all for now. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys found this useful. And yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I don't know if I'm going to be able to show off that mini Blackrock Mountain cards as they get released because I don't have money to spend on Hearthstone right now, and I've just kind of been grinding gold for the past couple weeks. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. End stream.